One year for Christmas, we got a popcorn popper. And we were so thrilled because we could pop popcorn. And my sister, Joanne, couldn't get the lid on. And she kept working and working, and she couldn't get it to fit just right. And she said, I can't get the darn top on. And my daddy was a stickler for using bad words, and she made her write 100 times. I must not say darn. I must not say darn.
And what did that do for her?
It imprints it in her mind, right? Our piano had a piano bench, and one day we discovered this J. David Turner, which was my youngest brother, and it was carved into the piano bench in childish scrawl. Now, I was 8 years older, and then I had an older sister and an older brother, and we said, David, you shouldn't have done that. He said, I didn't do that. So we knew he did do it. Nobody else would do it in childish handwriting. So that J. David Turner stayed there forever.
Well, we kids used to go to bed as early as possible on Christmas Eve because we wanted to get a good night's sleep and be first up Christmas morning to see what Santa Claus had brought as gifts. And we were the first ones up, always 4:30, 5 o'clock, and we had to stand at the top of the steps and wait until our mother would let us come down to where the Christmas tree was with all the gifts. And we, when we were given license to move forward, we all ran down the steps to see what Santa Claus had brought for us. And we all had at least one gift. In those days, we didn't get piles of gifts like modern day grandchildren have, high tech and otherwise. We just had simple things like Tinker Toys. And my gift that Christmas was a toy truck. And I was thrilled to death with my one toy, but what made it even better was on that same Christmas morning, my dad had purchased a medicine cabinet that he wanted to mount on the wall in the kitchen over the sink so he would have something to see himself while he shaved. And it was sitting on the floor next to where the tree was, and I was able to drive my toy truck around in front of the mirror, and in doing so I had two trucks, and I thought that was really great.
My mother got what was described as an unbreakable doll, and she was so thrilled with it that she and her friends went out on the sidewalk, and she wanted to demonstrate to them that it was unbreakable, and she threw it down as hard as she could, and it broke. So that was the end of her unbreakable doll. Well, I don't know exactly how to talk about that. I don't know how to express it. My father was really too old to go to the war, World War II. But when Pearl Harbor happened, they were drafting people, and he was 38 and had 4 children. So that was kind of unheard of, but they did draft him. And in those days, you went down to the train station and watched them go away. And my sister and I were there, and we were crying so hard because we didn't want him to go. And the teacher, who later became a high school English teacher, was mastering this ceremony. And he came over to us and he said, well, you can go home and get your pillow and just cry in it now. There was no sympathy.
My dad had a general store in a little town in Virginia, and every year he bought 15 or 20 gallons of oysters in order to provide oysters for all of his customers, because everybody felt like oysters were the thing to have on Christmas Day, either as oyster stew or fried oysters. And when he finished the evening on Christmas Eve and had oysters left over, they all became ours at our house. And my mother fried oysters for us for breakfast Christmas morning, and I don't know how many oysters we might have eaten, but then the rest of the oysters she used to make oyster stew. And she had a great big pot of oyster stew with buttery and creamy and delicious. And we ate oysters all day Christmas Day. Wonderful experience. We grew up poor. We didn't think we were poor. We were really rich and didn't really know how rich we were.